Okay, another update here on the Bobcat. So I reassembled the chain case, went to put the parking brake assembly on, which is this right here, and it was extremely difficult to get on. I ended up getting it on, and then I realized no matter what I did, the axles would not move with this on there. Whether I engaged it, disengaged it, didn't make a difference. I went to take it off. It was unbelievably difficult to get this thing off. So I took it off and I said, you know what? I don't want to put this thing back together and put the chain case back in before I understand what's wrong here. So I looked at it, looked pretty simple with how it works. And it is. Basically, you have these pieces go on the outside. So you have, hold on, you have these like this. Obviously, they're sitting in this bore. They're like this. Okay. Then you have, all right, well, that's not going to stay together, but you get it. They're like that. And then these, you have, actually, that would go that way. They go in the middle. So this is what it looks like on the inside. The discs go between here, and what happens is you have your actuator in here. When this turns, it puts pressure on this one, which pushes this in turn, puts pressure on that, and squeezes the parking brakes. Okay, so it squeezes the discs between them. What was happening was these were so badly seized that it would lock the brakes and the brakes would not come off. Now, knowing what I know now, originally I thought that the chains possibly broke from them moving it around because the machine didn't run when I bought it, and I assumed that, you know, they had tried to move it around a lot, maybe drug it, and ended up breaking chains. Well, now I'm thinking that this, because of how unbelievably seized this was, which we'll get into in a second, I'm thinking that may have been what the issue was, because it was just constantly fighting it, and maybe they tried to pull it, then they also tried with the drive motors. All this in turn is stretching out the chain, and then finally just snapped them. So with that being said, these were in there so bad that it took the arbor press, and it took that press over there, the hydraulic 20-ton. It took the air hammer and a very big sledgehammer. Well, I guess it's not very big, but bigger than a ball peen like I was using at my other shop. And it took this metal bar to be used as a breaker bar on the arbor press. So what happened was, it was very difficult to drive these out. And for several reasons. One of them, you could see this is all messed up in here, which this won't affect it because they don't go past this, but they had to be driven out this way. And there's a pin that goes through here that holds them. It's bigger on one side than the other side. So this bore's a lot bigger, this bore's a lot smaller, and what happens is when this mounts to the top, this pin can't be driven out because this mounts to the plate and it goes flush with this, so this pin can't accidentally come out for any reason, which is why it can only come out one way. Now, I will show you one of the pieces that's left of the pin right here. So this pin is made out of steel that is so unbelievably hardened that I actually, if you look here, it's hard for me to see the orientation of the camera. If you look here on top, I tried with a drill press to drill into this several times, several different bits, brand new bits, everything, and you can see there's like hardly any marks. You could see where I was hitting it and beating on it. There's hardly anything. This pin is just, I don't know what the hell they made this thing out of, but it is so hardened. I tried with the oxyacetylene torch to heat it up, drive it out. We tried with the arbor press. My friend was helping me. He was beating it while I was using the press, back and forth, and just nothing, wouldn't work. So what I did was, this pin was in across the bore like that, so I took bolts and I slid them in on the sides of it, and I was pushing these out with that. It worked for a little bit, and then it stopped working because the bolts got so long that they were just bending as I was pushing it. So I went back to the pin, tried to get it out, nothing, could not get it out. I tried all different stuff. I tried to take a center punch and hit the pin in the middle here, so I could drill it maybe this way and just drill it out enough to get a punch or something in there to center it to push it out. Nothing worked. So then I got an idea. You know, I figured, okay, this is an extremely hardened metal, which means it's actually extremely brittle as well. So I went to unconventional methods, and I took the air hammer. I don't have the tip out that I was using, but I took a chisel tip, very similar to this. So pretty much this, but for the air hammer. And I said, you know what? I'm just gonna go right into the middle of that pin, and if it's as hardened as it appears to be, it should break it. So I started hammering away, and sure enough, you can see all the cracks and everything started forming, and it was a very good sight because I was very happy about that. Now I ended up actually going straight through it, and what actually helped so much was once I did that, all the vibration, all the hammering, and once I went through the middle of it, it actually started to push this pin outwards. At that point, I was able to drive the one side out. And then I hammered more and more and more. I started to get the other side out, and then it was out about halfway, so I was able to put it in the press and then press it out completely. So needless to say, this pin obviously is not capable of going back in there. I'll probably make another one. It won't be as hardened, but I will make another one to put in there. It might not even be one that I have to press in. I might make something, because like I said, this bore is smaller on this side. I might make something that will just very lightly go in there. It won't be tight in there. It'll be a little bit loose, about the same diameter, but just slightly a hair loose in case I ever have to take it out. And it doesn't have to be pressed in because this lays flush with the top cover, so that'll hold it in. It won't walk its way out at all. Now another thing too with pressing this out, once you get to about here, right past it, and this cap can come out, make sure you do not hit on this. These are like brass or something, and these will break. Okay, you will absolutely destroy these if you try and press the gold pieces out. So you need to make sure that these caps are on there the whole way as you press it out, and you need to check them because one on the bottom, for example, when I was pressing it out and it fell off, it actually was sideways in the bore, which is obviously a problem because you don't want to push it out that way. You're going to screw it up. So you got to keep straightening it. You got to make sure it stays straight while it's inside of here. If you don't, you're going to damage it. So anyway, with this being as seized up as it is, I'm going to have to clean up the bore, loosen it up a little bit. You know, there are some marks in there from a lot of things that had to be done. This is not a very complex piece whatsoever, and to be honest with you, the tolerances do not have to be close at all. I mean, literally all this does is, it's almost, you know, it's the same thing as a disc brake, but you have no fluid, no nothing. It's just a static kind of, you know, it just squeezes it and it just relies on the pressure of the arm outside the case and the pedal you step on, and you know, the pedal goes down, it just kind of locks it. It's really not complicated. It doesn't need, you don't need a lot of precision, anything like that for this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wire wheel all these, clean them up. The good news is, as I press them out, it actually perfectly shaved off any excess or any pieces of this that were kind of mushroomed out. This block, because this is so much harder steel than these are, it shaved it right off, and I had a bunch of like little stringy pieces from it, which was actually a very good thing. So with that being said, I'm going to get to work on cleaning up the bore. I'm going to, I don't think I have a hone small enough for that. Actually, I might. I think I do in the other shop right now. I'm actually at my buddy's shop right now. He has a tractor repair company, and I was here earlier. I helped him out with something. He helped me out with something. He also made me a new hydraulic line for the skid steer because I had to cut one. So that was very nice of him. So, you know, it's always good to have good friends. He had to run out and just left me here. So, yep, that's where we're at. So just a briefing, I'm going to have to make a new pin. I'm going to have to clean up the bore on this, and I'm going to wire wheel all these parts, and ideally I should be able to slide these in, and I should be able, just with my hands, be able to push them back and forth, push them in and out. So we'll get to work on that, and yeah, hopefully everything works out. But I did not want to put this back together after seeing what I saw with it the way it is, because it's going to cause more problems, and the whole point of this project is to solve the problems and have a working machine. So we'll see how it goes. All right, so it's all back together now. I actually took a bolt for this here, and I made my own kind of pin, sort of, and it just goes in here. It doesn't come through the bottom, as you can see, and this mounted to the plate is what's going to hold that in place. So anyway, I took a reamer and I reamed out this entire block here, cleaned everything out. There were a lot of burrs and everything, and then all the little brass pieces, I cleaned them up, and as you can see now, they move completely freely. I took the reamer 2 sizes up. I mean, it's like it's such a small difference, but you got to remember, this isn't a hydraulic block. It's not a valve body. It's not anything like that. So you can do that without any problems. And I did that because I don't want it to seize up again. And then if you look here, you will see that when I spin this, it actuates. See? It's exactly how it's supposed to be. So I'm going to put her back in. See, everything's free now. All these move. This was such a disaster trying to take this thing apart. I mean, it was unbelievable how seized it was. And I truly do believe that after seeing this, I think I know what happened to this machine. And this is my best guess, is that this brake assembly here became seized. They broke the chains because they tried to move it. And that this assembly was seized so bad that they tried to move it, ended up breaking the chains. They also probably, I would guess, tried to drag the machine around just to move it, which, you're putting pressure on this side of the chain, that side of the chain, this side of the chain. Something's got to give. Something finally did give, because you're fighting something that literally will not spin. And in that case, the chain really is the weakest link. The sprockets look okay, but the chains definitely were, all 3 of them were snapped, and then there was one that was still on. But either way, this was locked up. So this is all straightened out now. I'm gonna put this back on there, and we'll see what happens. So I think we're good now, though. So everything's nice and loose. Nice, loose, and free. So yeah, good thing I didn't put this thing back together before doing that.